If there is one practical thing that Democrats can do right now that would help them regain power, it's never speak to Trump in person. No, I'm kidding. That's stupid. No, it's this. Inspire your moderates to vote in the primaries. Get that base excited. You have the numbers. After Congressman Moulton made his comment about his daughter not getting run over, he added, "But as a Democrat, I'm supposed to be afraid to say that." Well, then change what you're supposed to.
The DNC is in complete disarray, and Bill Maher isn't cutting them any slack. You'd think a party with no leader, no clear vision, and no message might get a little sympathy, but instead, Maher is lighting them up. The outspoken host of Real Time went straight for AOC and the Democrats, blasting them for refusing to learn from their last humiliating defeat. The result, absolute fireworks. Let's break it down.
All the time. Why haven't you ever had Hillary or Bill Clinton on? Why didn't you have Kamala on during the last campaign? You think we don't ask? We ask these people every week. They say no. It took 8 years and a petition to get Obama on. And these are people, all people I voted for. Think about that. They're afraid to come on the show of a guy who voted.
Maher opened by venting his frustration at the very party he's long supported with his vote, his money, and his cultural influence, yet they've sidelined him for years. Despite being one of their strongest allies in the media, Democrats consistently avoid his platform. He's invited them on Real Time with Bill Maher countless times, but they never show, because they're afraid of tough questions and unwilling to defend their fragile positions against real push. Instead of engaging in open debate, they retreat into echo chambers, proving Maher's point that the left has become soft, insecure, and intellectually lazy.
They show up, and when they do, they take their beating like a man. He went down to Mar-a-Lago and kissed his ass after that.
Oh, bullshit.
When the Mueller report came out, I feel like you mischaracterized it, and I feel that was shady. But you campaigned for election deniers in 2022. This I do not forgive. The Republicans, including you, January 6th, etc., are the ones who are no longer willing to play by the rules of democracy. Amendment 22, no person shall be elected to the office of the president more than twice. And yet you keep talking about Trump's third. Maybe you should have this.
Sure, Republicans have had their share of comebacks, some sharp, others clumsy, even a few that left Maher with the upper hand. But that isn't the point here. The real takeaway is that win or lose, Republicans actually show up. They sit across from Maher, take the hits, and engage in the debate even when their arguments falter. That willingness to step into the ring, knowing they might stumble, shows a kind of grit and accountability. Unlike Democrats, they don't retreat into safe spaces. They face the fire, and that alone speaks volumes.
AOC on the show, and Mondami and Elizabeth Warren. But I can't subpoena the guests. And I can't fix that what the Democrats are scared of more than anything else. I mean, obviously, besides gluten. Is being primaried from the far left, even though most Democrats are not far left. They're mild-mannered and moderate, at least in my bathhouse.
It's no secret that the far left is the engine behind today's woke agenda. What's alarming, however, is how they've grown louder and more influential than the Democratic Party itself. Instead of standing on principle, the party bends to every demand, no matter how radical. It's as if the DNC has traded its spine for blind appeasement, prioritizing activist outrage over genuine leadership. The result, a hollow institution more focused on satisfying the loudest fringe than serving everyday Americans. What Democrats truly need isn't another figurehead bowing to the mob. It's a leader with the courage to say enough and push back against the far-left takeover.
One practical thing that Democrats can do right now that would help them regain power, it's never speak to Trump in person. No, I'm kidding. That's stupid. No, it's this. Inspire your moderates to vote in the primaries. Get that base excited. You have the numbers. After Congressman Moulton made his comment about his daughter not getting run over, he added, "But as a Democrat, I'm supposed to be afraid to say that." Well, then change what you're supposed to do.
Maher's observation couldn't be more on point. In recent years, countless moderates have quietly drifted away from the Democratic Party, some moving toward the center, others even to the right. These are people who once proudly identified as Democrats, but now feel alienated by a party hijacked by far-left ideology. Many of them would gladly return if the DNC showed the courage to break free, even partially. from the grip of the woke fringe. Instead, party leaders tiptoe around extremists like they're walking on eggshells, paralyzed by the fear of backlash and cancellation. Until the Democrats find the spine to push back and restore balance, moderates will keep their distance, leaving the party trapped in a cycle of pandering and fear-driven politics.
Have the power and influence to be able to, like, usher in socialism?
He definitely has the power and influence to elect J.D. Vance or whoever is the Republican candidate next time. It is a walking commercial for the Republican Party nationally.
The Republicans are going to...
When you let the Democrat socialists, and now they're actually calling themselves socialists, when you let them take over a major American city, this is...
Let's single quotes break this down clearly. Bill Maher's warning is simple. If Democrats put Zohran Mamdani forward as their 2028 state, they might as well gift trap the election for J.D. Vance. Maher argues that Mamdani's brand of woke, socialist-driven policies could energize Gen Z voters, who often lean toward radical change and progressive ideals. But here's the problem. Generational math. Gen Z may be growing in influence, but they aren't the dominant voting bloc. Millennials, Gen X, and especially baby boomers still carry the most weight at the polls. Maher believes Mamdani's rhetoric won't resonate with them. In fact, it risks pushing them further away. The message couldn't be clearer. Betting the party's future on a far-left figure like Mamdani isn't bold strategy. Political suicide, a gamble that would almost certainly hand Republicans the White House.
With a psycho who all they care about is controlling you, they're very good at diagnosing problems. Yeah. They're very good at figuring out what your weak points are. And that's, I would argue, what a lot of these people are doing. Right. They recognize that if you can focus on these problems, then you can, use that dissatisfaction to gain power.
Mamdani isn't offering leadership, he's exploiting frustration. Instead of fixing real flaws in the system, he weaponizes them, fueling anger and resentment. His rhetoric doesn't solve problems. It multiplies them. It's the same old playbook: point fingers, stir emotions, but deliver nothing. And let's be clear, socialism, no matter how attractively packaged, has never produced prosperity anywhere it's been tried. Yet many young voters, who haven't lived through or studied its failures, are swept up by Mamdani's promises. They hear ideals dressed up as progress, while ignoring the consequences: economic stagnation, lost freedoms, and deeper division. Mamdani isn't leading a movement toward solutions. He's selling a dangerous fantasy one history has already tested and discredited. And the most troubling part, the youth cheer it on without ever asking the hard questions.
For a guy like you, who you spent your whole life talking about how government tries to do too much, which it does, and spends too much, and here you have Trump, who is the Republican, who is aggrandizing more power than anybody, as we just talked about. And on the other side, you have the guy running in New York, Mamdani, right? Okay, who's like a straight up communist. I mean, he is. He talks about, the things that communists say. I mean, he wants free grocery stores, free buses.
I want him to win.
You want him to win?
Yeah. I think every 20 years or so.
Wait.
Every 20 years or so, we need a conspicuous, confined experiment with socialism so we can...
Some of us have studied history and we know exactly what socialism leaves in its wake. We're not eager to relive those consequences. So no, we're not praying for Mamdani to win. Quite the opposite. Our hope is that Democrats wake up before it's too late and see the damage his leadership would bring if he ever gained power. The warning signs are already clear. Policies that sound inspiring in theory but collapse in practice. Promises that stir emotion but erode the foundations of a healthy economy and a free society. What we're really hoping for is clarity for voters to see past the slogans and the flashy rhetoric, and to recognize the long-term harm lurking beneath Mamdani's platform. If Democrats truly care about their party's survival, they won't let him near the ballot box. Because if they do, he won't just drag the party downhill, drag the country with it.
The slogan used to be, "Workers of the world unite, you have nothing to lose but your chains." The new socialist slogan is, "Trust us, this time it won't be a mess." So, when the post-war labor government in Britain was about to get started, one of their leading lights was a socialist named Nurian Bevan. He said, what could go wrong? He said, we have a nation bedded on coal, surrounded by fish. It would take an organizational genius to have a shortage of either. In 3 years, they had a shortage of both. That's socialism.
Paper. Socialism sounds appealing, a utopian vision where everyone shares equally and no one is left behind. But in reality, it has always delivered something far worse than capitalism. For all its flaws, capitalism still rewards hard work, innovation, and determination. It gives people the chance to create, to earn, and to build a better future for themselves and their families. Socialism flips that promise on its head. The so-called equality it offers is nothing more than a smokescreen for the ruling elite to consolidate power. They take the lion's share, while ordinary people, no matter how hard they work, are left with nothing. The outcome isn't fairness, but stagnation, resentment, and poverty dressed up as progress. History has proven it time and again. Socialism doesn't liberate the masses. It traps the
Usual suspects on the far left that the saying is, when you're in a hole, stop digging, not keep digging. Talk about doubling down on what got you fucked in the first place. Even the one concession I've heard a few people on the losing side offer, that liberals should stop saying the Trump voters are stupid, comes with a kind of unspoken parentheses. We know they are stupid, just don't say it.
This is exactly how the left often views the right, as a collection of ignorant, backward people, incapable of basic reasoning. It's a lazy stereotype they cling to, a convenient narrative that lets them dismiss conservative voices without ever addressing the arguments. In their eyes, anyone who supports MAGA or leans right must be uneducated, unenlightened, or morally corrupt. And of course, they place themselves on a pedestal, the enlightened class, supposedly wiser, more compassionate, and morally superior. But history proves this arrogance is their greatest weakness. When you spend all your time sneering at your opponents, you underestimate them. And when you underestimate them, you lose. That's the left's blind spot. Their endless self-congratulation blinds them to the real frustrations fueling millions of Americans' frustrations that no amount of smug moral posturing can simply erase.
For you, they don't have a monopoly on stupid. You wear Queers for Palestine t-shirts and masks 2 years after the pandemic ended. And you can't define woman, person who menstruates. You're the teachers union education party, and you've turned schools and colleges into a joke. You just lost a crazy contest to an actual crazy person.
And at the end of the day, the problem with the Democratic Party and the far left isn't just their policies, it's their arrogance, their pandering, and their refusal to learn from history. From Bill Maher's warnings about elevating woke socialists like Mamna to the growing exodus of moderates who feel abandoned, the message is clear. Socialism may sound noble on paper, but in reality, it empowers elites while trapping ordinary people in poverty. Yet, blinded by self-righteousness, the left clings to the belief that they're morally superior, dismissing conservatives as ignorant. That arrogance has always been their undoing. If Democrats keep bowing to the loudest activists instead of standing for reason and balance, they won't just lose voters, they'll lose the future. What America needs now are leaders with courage, not figureheads too timid to say no to extremism. And with that, we'll wrap up today's video. If you enjoyed this commentary, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more unfiltered takes just like this.